All right, Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. That's all praises to the world cause God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, Ba'ashem meaning in the name, and Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. Also, I want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to those who elect preaching this word in truth and sincerity. On the brother Tazabah in Great Millstone, Arizona Camp, Lord will, with another video to edify. And wanted to go on this little news clip, so I'm gonna play this, and Lord willing, this be edifying. All right, because what you're seeing is the Lord's work throughout the work coming to pass.
Get engaged beyond that. Do you think that will shift, or is that going to remain as it has?
It depends, right? It depends also a little bit, if you allow me to say this, on individuals and people like you. I mean, what I found most surprising is, and you mentioned this also before, there is a deafening media silence on these protests, right? Maybe I wouldn't call them yet uprisings, but they're significant protests. We're talking about 30,000 people in the Netherlands. Now there are people say, no, it's not 30,000, it's 25,000. Well, that's still pretty significant. So, and this was also the pushback I got. It was, well, Ralph, you inflated the numbers. It's 29,000 and not 30,000. But you see something else happening, and that's part of the story. I mean, if you observe it in the United States, in Europe, right, all of a sudden there's all this worry, again, particularly in the political and media class, about disinformation, right? They say, oh, we need to control disinformation. We have to be careful about the information that gets out there. And this, I think, is part of this, that the best way to prevent the pushback from large numbers of people is if they don't know that anything is going on. So if you have people say, wait, we want to organize, we want to push back against it, and you had this, think about the situation about the trackers in Canada, right? When they pulled their bank accounts, when they made sure that, when GoFundMe pulled their funding efforts. So this is undermining precisely what you're saying, right? The possibility of those people to organize. So it's not a conspiracy, right? I mean, it's what interest groups, what these players do. They see there is something coming that could be a threat to their power, so they try to do something to undermine it. What bothers me is,
Hey, see, what you're seeing is Esau's in the streets. Right, he's trying to get his plan off the ground, and he's in the streets. He has to sit here and put media silence on all these big stories that's happening all around the world, right? Yeah, man, let me get that, man. I'm gonna get this first. I'll get that, man, because that's exactly what's happening. This devil is right in the mix, right? This is Revelation 19:10. It says, "And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy." Right? This is what you're supposed to be getting into, is the spirit of prophecy. Right? Paul said what? That you may have all spiritual gifts, but rather that you prophesy, because that's the most important thing. Now you seeing this devil. Let me get that. This is Job 20 and 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, right? Going into when he's starting to get this plan off the ground, right? When he thinks everything's going good, because really, his sufficiency is pretty high right now. Right? His plan as far as how it's going is pretty up there. He's destroyed the majority of the middle class. The way prices of food and everything is going on now is taking out the last few people that are holding on. Right? They're culling all these crops. They're culling all these animals to change up the food market. Right? They use the sanctions to destroy, shipping routes and global trade. Basically putting a squeeze on the average person. So this devil's plan is working, seemingly, right? It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he should be in straits. And this is why this devil has to sit here and silence the fact that everywhere around the globe people are protesting, because really, if all you saw on TV was a bunch of disgruntled people, how many more people do you think that's in your same situation will feel emboldened to do the same thing? We're in a time now where prophecy is hitting off. It says, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And when you go into that word wicked, it means, in this particular scripture, it means the labor. And this is exactly who's going at them, man. The everyday person. And now people around the globe are seeing this, and they're being in their terrible spots. Because the scriptures tell you, right, perplexity was going to come. Let's get that. It says, and there should be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity. The nations are in distress, right? Like, how the hell did we get here? How in the hell do these elite sit here and push forward these policies that are unimaginable? How in the hell do you cut emissions down to zero? Right? What infrastructure do you already have in place for that? How in the hell does a country that's already struggling with energy, having enough energy, switch to switch to cars that only have lithium batteries? Where the hell do you get the energy to get all that? These people can't even keep the power on in Texas in a snowstorm, but you're thinking that somehow you can just change the entire industry models without the infrastructure being there. Imagine who's gonna lose at that. These people are finding out that they're getting the shit into the stick, and now they're revolting, right? Seeing the waves warn. So we're in that time now where the distress is hitting the nations, and this is why people are rising up. When you go, look at this. It says, look at this. I think it's Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, right? But at the end it shall speak and not lie, though tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and it will not tarry. Now we're at the end, so now prophecies are speaking, right? And what is the prophecy that's speaking now? 2nd Ezra 9 and I'll start at 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure it out of time diligently in itself. Now, how do you measure it? We just went to some news that was coming out, and they're talking about uproars around the world, saying that there's a deafening silence on mainstream media about it, right? That's a measuring stick right there. Now you go to the scripture. That's the times. Now you measure it with the scriptures. Does the Bible say something about that? It says, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, thou shalt understand that it is very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Now, there's been many things happening. And now we're in the time where things are heating up. Before, he was just talking about the CV, right? And snake venom. Now they're talking about monkeypox, right? Now they're talking about like listeria outbreaks. They're talking about this other one. I gotta find it again. Forgot the name for it. But there's a whole nother plague on the way. Not only that, you got goods being sold expensively, going into inflation, which is part of prophecy, right? And people losing their goddamn minds. The love of many waxing cold. Wickedness at an all-time high. This is all prophecy. This is verse 3. Is therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the beginning, from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So there's uproars of the people in the world. People are rioting, right? This is big time prophecy, man. Now let's see if there's any more in this video.
Is something coming that could be a threat to their power, so they try to do something to undermine it. What bothers me is, yes, go on, please.
But Ralph, the media is never going to be on the side of anybody other than that leftist elite. And we know that. We've seen that with the truckers in Canada, with the farmers now in the Netherlands, they're being either ignored or misrepresented as extremists, as dangerous fringe dwellers. So if the media isn't going to be a vehicle for informing people about...
Esau's using the media as his form of power, right? Like the lady just said, they're just changing the narrative, like they do on the people that are uprising, like they don't have a reason to be upset. Right? This is Isaiah 47. Because that's Esau's spirit. Let me get this first. Wisdom of Solomon. So Wisdom of Solomon 2:11, it says, let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worse. So if you don't have the ability to stand, you're not worth anything in these devil's eyes. This is why he can change the narrative. Right? And he uses his media as his form of witchcraft, because when you think about witchcraft, what was it all about? Changing the view. Right? You think back on those movies you used to watch where there were witches and shit. What was one of their biggest accomplishments? Making an alternative illusion. And this is what these devils do. They flip the story. This is Isaiah 47:10. It says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge have perverted thee. Thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, and thou shalt not know from whence it ariseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And the desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments. Right? His media, right? His ability to flip stories and shit. This is why when you really look at it, this devil's going hard. He's going hard on flipping every story that comes out. It says, and with the multitude of thy sorceries wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, and so be thou mayest prevail. Right? So this is what the Lord is doing, man. He's getting down, and people are losing their damn minds. Right? Shit's about to hit the fan. Let's hear if there's any more and close it out.
Be a vehicle for informing people about what's happening. How can you have that silent majority have their voices heard?
I mean, I'm not so sure if that is entire. I think you're right, but I think there are some good signs. I look at there is the Farmer Citizens Party in the Netherlands, right? They currently have 1 seat in parliament. If there would be elections tomorrow, they would get to 20 seats. The leading Dutch government party would lose 14 out of 34 seats. Wow. So there is something going on. So I think there is, and you guys mentioned it before, right? We had Brexit. We had...
Nah, you're saying a bunch of BS. Really, if things go down the way we're going, man, people are going to be at each other's necks. Right? But we here. I don't want to catch the elders over there in Illinois, not Illinois, but in Texas. So I'm going to sign off. But Lord willing, this has been edifying. Say, call Lord Yahweh Shai. Shalom.